Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks everyone for dialing in today. Great, I can see quite a number of people have attended and managed to join in okay. So I'll get started. So good morning everyone, my name is Faye Stenning. I'm a marketing manager here at InfoTrack. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which is focused on one of our most innovative solutions, which is Property Report. So I'm delighted to be joined by Liz Campbell, who's a product manager from InfoTrack. She's going to be giving you a demonstration of Property Report and all of its features. Following Liz's demonstration, the Head of Account Management, Tom Kerwin, will be speaking with Solicitor from Knights, Lowri Peploe-Williams, and Senior Associate from Knights, Minal Shah, to find out firsthand how they found using Property Report from InfoTrack. So before we begin the webinar, I would just like to draw your attention, please, to the Q&A tab, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We will be running a Q&A session at the end of this webinar, so please type in any questions that you might have for Liz, Tom, Lowri or Minal, along with your name into the Q&A box. And that way, if we run out of time or if your questions require further clarification, we can extract your information and follow up with you directly after the webinar. So without further ado, I would like to hand you over to Liz so that we can get started with today's webinar. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Ben. So yeah, my name is Liz Campbell. I'm the product manager for Property Report. Like Faye said, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration, a 20-minute demonstration of how Property Report works. It's going to be quite just a general overview. In 20 minutes, you're just going to go over the basic step-by-step guide on how to use Property Report. We might not get into all the features, but again, you will have questions, so just add them in the chat below. I'm just going to share my screen so you guys can see. So this is obviously InfoTrack's homepage. To access Property Report, you can go through the matter and access it through here, or you can access it through the top productivity bar. Once you are here, this is where you can create your Property Report workspace. What you would do is enter your matter, and essentially I will just show a demonstration. So once you enter your matter, we will pre-populate your address, pre-populate the title number, the purchaser's name, and the data sources, which is your searches or your SDLT, etc., or your mortgage offer, and we'll pull that through so that we can use those to refine the content of your report. The only thing you'll need to select is really your tenure type. So what I like to say at this stage, just by entering your matter, what you've done is sort of given the report around 200 to 300 commands, refining our content library down to the content that's really specific and applicable to your conveyance. So I'm just going to click order. So now what you've done is you've created a Property Report workspace. On the right-hand side, you will see a live version of the report. And on the right-hand side is the build report section. And this is where you will check the content, that you're happy with the content, remove anything that's not applicable, and fill in any details. So Property Report is split into 5 sections if it's a freehold, 6 sections if it's a leasehold. The first section that you see here is the property details section, and this is where you would report on your title. So here, when you entered your title number, or the title number was pre-populated into the workspace, we ordered that an electronic copy of that register, and we've used that electronic copy to pre-populate data and recognize risks. So I like to just use this paragraph as an example. It looks like a really simple, basic sentence, but really what we've done is we have pre-populated the address, the tenure type, the title number, when it was last purchased, and for the price. So in that simple sentence, we've done so much pre-population just to save you time and to reduce error. Same with this one. You'll see paragraphs such as this that are orange and that have like a little alert symbol on it. And that's simply because nowhere in your matter, your case management, in your searches, no data source is letting us know whether the seller is other than the proprietor. So this is where we would need a little bit of a manual intervention, and if the content is relevant, you can fill in the information. If it's not, you can simply untick it and it removes the alert and you're rewarded with a little tick up here. So just to give a bit more information about the sort of pre-population we do for the register, we recognise the class of title, we pre-populate any easements, beneficial or subjective, mines and minerals, we recognise whether they're included, excluded, and we also recognise the type of, we refine from the type of tenure for boundary information. Something I also like to say with this section and with all of property report, although you're seeing a lot of content here, there's also a lot of content you're not seeing because it's not applicable. We also report on or recognise rent charges in the register, whether there's a possessory class of title, a qualified class of title, if it's a leasehold, a good leasehold class of title. You can't see that here because we've looked at the register, we've analysed it, we've risk assessed it, and we've said that's not relevant, and so we haven't included that in there. Okay. When you make edits in each section, you have this curly arrow here, which just indicates to you that you've made an edit. We also have a button here, which allows you to go to the source document and cross-reference the information that we've pre-populated from, should you wish to check that. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the property details section. The second section is the inquiries of the seller. So this is, of course, where you would input all the information you would have obtained through your inquiries process with the seller solicitors or the seller side. You can input all the information from your TA forms and any extra information such as solar panels, fire safety, whether the buyer, is an investor, maybe want to rent out the property in the future. Maybe they need to know about, the legalities of having a house in multiple occupation. Something you may have noticed is that some sections are deselected, and that's because in our settings, where we feel the content or where we feel the content is not relevant for every transaction, and we might just want to streamline our process a bit more, we've deselected it from settings. But I like to use flying freehold as an example. So flying freehold, it has a lot of content. You may not need it every time, but so you can deselect it from your settings so it's not in your way, but you can also add it back whenever you need to. So it's always like in your back pocket, so to speak. That the inquiry section. So the searches section here is again a section where we pre-populate a lot of the data from. So if you order a regulated local authority search through InfoTrack, we're able to read and risk assess that search. So here we've not only recognised that there's list building records, we also recommend possible indemnities for that. One of my favourite section is the road adoption section, because what you see here is four paragraphs, four content components. In the background, there's near 30 to 40, and that's because we account for every variation, whether it's adopted, part adopted, not adopted, and then if there's multiple roads, all the different variations of that. What you see are the four relevant paragraphs. So as you can see, when I click the source, go to source document, it's taken me to the exact correct section of the report, and it's told me the roads that I need to pre-populate into here. So you can see every time I demo this, I can never say this street name, Eltringham Street, so that's pre-populated into here. So that's a brief overview of the regulated local authority search and how we pre-populate information from there. I'll just quickly go through the environmental. Again, so we work with Groundshaw. We're able to use Groundshaw's data to accurately provide content that's relevant to the transaction. So again, we've recognised that the contaminated land has a pass result. And if I go to the source document, should take me directly to that section where it will also tell me that it's a pass result. And again, there's not really much for me to do here because Property Report has done it itself. It has pulled through all the information that the buyer should be aware of, transportation, the flood risk, etc. So the fourth section in a freehold report is the mortgage section. So we're currently working with LMS to pre-populate a lot of this data. So who the lender is, the expiry date, the mortgage offer, the offer date, and how much was lent. But at present, you can still add that information into it. It's quite a comprehensive section where you can report on the type of mortgage, the interest rates, the lender's particular guidelines and conditions, special conditions, etc. And the final section of the report is the additional details and payments and disclaimers. So this is where you can report on insurances, your transfer, the stamp duty, the finance, how you would transfer monies, etc. So just before I go through the rest section, I just like to show you this section, right to buy future sale conditions. So the reason why you're seeing this content in a standard freehold report is because it's applicable to a standard freehold report. Let's say you selected freehold new build, you won't see that content there. You would see something like help to buy equity loan content here instead, because obviously that's applicable to a new build. SDLT. So yeah, we provide so much information regarding the SDLT, all the different reliefs, first time buyer, the Crown employment, second home buy to let. If there's a additional stamp duty levy, we report on that. We read your SDLT. So if you have an SDLT draft on file, this content would be refined. Let's say you just had a first time buyer relief on there, we would present that in blue and remove the rest of the content if it wasn't applicable. We also have the Welsh equivalent. So we have land transaction tax. So if we recognise a Welsh postcode, we will provide that text instead of the stamp duty land text. So let's see, just additional features. Again, I know I'm whizzing past this. It's hard to go through Property Report in just 20 minutes, but additional features, you can of course bold, highlight, underline. You can insert pictures also into the report. I've seen clients do it with sorted title plans or EPCs, or even with their drainage and water, which we also pre-populate for. They've put in sort of like the diagrams of like how pipes run across the property. Let's see. We also allow for reporting in stages, which is, Law Society recommends solicitors to do. So let's say you just wanted to report on the title, your searches haven't come back yet. You would, clear all the alerts, go through this section. You can hit publish. You can change the name of the report to title report. Report. You can deselect your appendices. Let's just keep the register and click confirm and click publish. And once you confirm, what that does is generates a PDF that goes straight to your matter and also gets emailed to you. From there, you can email it to your client so that they have something to read whilst you wait for your searches to come back, or whilst you report on your mortgage or the inquiries, etc. Once you have published, you can always come back into the workspace and edit it as many times as you like. I like to, compare it to a Word document. You've created that Word document. Now you can play around with it as much as you want. It's yours to edit freely. So now you can remove the property detail section and report on your searches. And again, go to publish, maybe change the name of the report again, search report, remove that, and then you click confirm. I'll just show you quickly what a published report will look like. because this I've published whilst there are still alerts within my report, some sections won't display, and that's because we will never publish sections within the report that haven't been approved by yourself, and that's one of our quality assurance features that we have within the report. So if you see in the top right here, I can request signatures of the client here, or I can go back and I can edit my report. And again, I'm back in the workspace, so I can play and republish as many times as I like. You have an upload feature in the top right, and that's where you can upload any additional documents such as your mortgage offer. No, actually your mortgage offer will pull through, like a lease or maybe a guarantee and warranty if it's a new build. I know you guys can't speak, but have you ever had a really long lease and you have to manually type in, it's a scanned lease, and you have to manually type in certain clauses or phrases from there, which is really annoying and time consuming. So with Property Report, what you can actually do is, I'll use a register, just an example. We are able to use this extract text from page button, click here, and it will actually extract the text from a scanned document. So here, that text is pulled through. You can see a confidence rating of how confident we are that that text accurately is what is in the scanned copy, and then you can copy and paste it wherever you need to. Let's see. You can also search within not just the live draft of the report, you can search within the appendices themselves. Let's do preview, and you can also review changes. So you can review paragraph history. I haven't made any change out there. So I've removed this paragraph here and it's reflected here, and that's just to give you a complete audit trail. Just before I finish, I just want to go over how the content was created for Property Report. So firstly, we spoke to clients such as yourself. We've reviewed dozens upon dozens of firms' property report or report on titles, their basic templates that you used, and then we obviously referred to legislation, and then it was, of course, the authorities, so Law Society CQS, the CLC, and SRA principles. I'm really proud to say that wherever the authority guidance says to advise the client where it's appropriate to do so at this stage in the conveyance, the reporting stage, that advice is there for you to use. Let's see. Just want to make.
Liz, sorry to interrupt. Someone has just asked,
Mm-hmm.
just redo the inserting text from a lease into the report, please. Would you be able to show that again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can see that's an exciting feature. Okay, so I haven't, because it's a freehold, I haven't got a lease on file, but I'll just use the example of a register. It will work the same with the lease. So we use this button here, the extract text from page. You'll select it. What it's doing is just reading that scanned document. It'll give you a confidence rating. You can copy all, and you can just paste it wherever you need it to go. Does that answer the question?
Somebody has just asked to say, is that doing OCR?
OCR.
I'm not too sure myself.
Official copies of the register, so that's the register. It does any sort of scanned document.
It says optical character recognition.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a legal term and I felt bad I didn't know, but I'm not sure. I will ask the devs. Okay, just thinking of any other features that I haven't gone through, perhaps. Report on stages. You can also use this next required button. And it will basically, it's for those power users who are really familiar with the content and just want to deal with the specific areas of the report that need their attention. But I'm at my 20 minutes now, so I'm going to hand over to Tom. Thanks so much for listening. Tom is our head of account management here at InfoTrack. Yeah, take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Liz. Good morning, everyone. Now you've had a walkthrough of property report, I would like to introduce you both and all of you to Minal and Lowri of Knights for a quick fire Q&A on their experience of property report, right from the introduction of when they started to get used to the report at the very beginning, through to using the solution frequently, day in, day out, to produce their reports on title. So hi Lowri, hi Minal, thank you for joining us. So we'll kick off with a little introduction to Knights. Knights, just for everybody watching, is a legal and professional services business with 17 offices across the UK. I think that's grown again recently. What would you say is the secret to your success?
So yeah, we'll actually have 22 offices after the 11th of July with our recent acquisition of Coffin Mews. The secret to our success, we'd say that we're one team working across locations, sharing work, sharing resource with the best residential property lawyers in those locations then. Amazing,
really good to hear. Yeah, I think teamwork and kind of collaborating between yourselves and having the best technology really helps do that as well. So let's dive into the report. How long have you both been using the property report solution we've just seen to compile your reports on title?
So the property reports went live in March 22 to the Knights residential property team, but myself and Lowri, we've actually been using the property report since the end of last summer.
And have you seen the report come on and a lot of new features and content added since then as well?
So I'd say in terms of it coming along and how it's been used in terms of a transition from the company side of things, I wouldn't say it's been an automatic transition for every lawyer to use, as obviously they all work differently, and they also have different styles of how they like to report to their clients. But we have been massively open to using the property reporting feature, and going forward, you know, we'll be using it anyway. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, good. I suppose it's managing change, isn't it, and getting used to a new system and a new way of reporting compared to previous maybe Word template documents. Thank you, Minal. What would you say are the key benefits of property report? Do you have any favorite features that you'd like to shout about?
So we love that the information is drawn from the register, from the searches into the report. You know, there's, like you just saw from Liz then, there's a library of precedent wording ready to use, which we can pick and choose as required for that transaction. You know, the dual screen function for drafting and viewing the report is a really helpful tool as well, you know, as well as the magic eye feature. So that allows you to jump back and forth to the source. That's really useful.
We love that word, the magic eye.
I know, you've got it ingrained in my head.
If anyone hovers over it when they're starting to use it will say go to source, but we all refer to it as the magic eye. So I'm sure that will be taken on. And Liz, you might want to introduce that at some point as well.
I'll just change the tagline
now. Amazing. Have you used property report to report in stages, and do you find the renaming tool useful?
So generally, I actually bite-size report to my clients. I think it's a great feature that we can, you know, actually break down the report and report to them at different stages of the transaction. And also the fact that we can actually change the name of the report. So we're not limited to just saying property report. You know, we can say search report, mortgage report, whatever you wish to rename the report to, you can do. So it's great.
Amazing. Great to hear. You two have been heavily involved in the settings side, so I just wanted to ask, how easy did you find using the settings to really bespoke the property report to yourselves and to the firm at Knights?
Yes, the branding's been implemented quite easily in line with Knights requirements, and we've been able to lock in important information like our bank details and cyber information within the report, so they can't be changed. But we've also been able to take out sections that we don't feel necessary. So it is bespoke to exactly what we need.
Exactly, because you guys have quite strict brand guidelines, and we've been able to replicate that with the branding on the report. Really good to hear. And I know you mentioned there as well the finance details. We can put the instructions of how the firm would like the purchase funds paying, and that's locked in the settings then. So that's just ensures compliance and ensures that those details can't be changed on any reports going out to clients as well. Amazing. Have you or your colleagues ever consulted our help desk or your account manager for extra support on the report, and how have you found that experience?
Yeah, so we've emailed our account manager a number of times, and the team also call the help desk, and issues are normally resolved during the phone call, or within a short space after the phone call. The staff are really friendly and knowledgeable, but if there's any additional training required for us or our team, then it can be arranged really promptly with our account manager then.
Yeah, I think we can do that either kind of on site, perhaps in a boardroom with a property report on a big screen, or if firms or users prefer, we can also do that online, very flexible. And I know we've done a bit of a mix for nights as well. How does property report fit in and support your digital conveyancing process and workflows?
So the property report's actually integrated with the case management system that we're using. So we use Ticket. So when a report's being drafted, it automatically saves the property report to our case management system. We also get an email to confirm that the report's been saved. And this way, it just allows that we don't have to go back and forth to different platforms in order to save documents. And another thing, when we actually create the report, on the portal, the client name, the matter number, the searches are automatically pulled through, which is great. So you're not having to, upload, click, save, and go from there. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And I suppose not only does that save time in terms of setting up a workspace, it just removes any error of the wrong details actually being manually input when you are typing in clients' names or matter numbers. And I suppose as well, when you are in the workspace producing a property report, do you find the function to be able to upload documents straight from the matter into the report workspace if it's on the case as well in Ticket?
Yeah, that's really helpful, because the fact that it's already there, it just pulls through all the documents anyway, so it's good.
So if you need a fence certificate, you can just go to upload, grab your fence certificate and pull it into the report and report from it, all from the same workspace. Thank you. If InfoTrack were to remove property reports, how would you feel going back to creating a report on title in a traditional way, perhaps using a Word document or a template?
Yeah, it really would be frustrating for us to have to go back now, as we have adapted to using the InfoTrack property report, as it does save us time with the features that do pull the information through. Not having to go back and forth and having those functions that pull through the information automatically. It really does help us work more efficiently as lawyers.
Safe to say there's no going back.
Yeah.
Good. And just finally, just to wrap up, one final question. What advice or tips would you give to a firm who's still creating their reports manually? Would you recommend property report to your peers and to other firms thinking about sort of revolutioning how they report on residential properties?
So I'd say we're both definitely advocates of the report. It looks good, it's easy to use, pre-populated information is available, and therefore obviously it saves time. The one thing I'd say, obviously the report's not ready to go to the client once all of the pre-populated information has been drawn into the report, because obviously you need to read through it, advise your client accordingly to that individual property transaction. But it's a more modern way of reporting, and the approach that you're using towards it is so much better. It's there to support us at the end of the day, and it's not there to replace us as property lawyers. That's the biggest fundamental. Both myself and Lowri, I think, will both continue obviously to use the report, and would recommend it to other law firms as well.
Exactly. We will produce the technology, provide you with the best technology to produce a report. We will never replace your legal knowledge. That is for you guys to work through, advise your client accordingly, and remove anything that's not relevant, add to the content that's already there, and then once you're happy, produce and publish a final version for your client. Thank you both. We really appreciate your input today. It allows other firms who are considering switching their reporting solution to Property Report to really hear some honest feedback and advice from both of you who have used Property Report now for over a year. So we really do appreciate you joining us. And I'll pass back to Faye. We'll go through any Q&As that have come in whilst the webinar has been on. So thank you both for joining us again.
Thanks.
That's great. Thanks ever so much, Tom. Yes, thanks everybody for your insights and for providing a fantastic demonstration on how Property Report looks and feels. We have had a number of questions come through from our audience, so we're going to jump straight into the Q&A part of the webinar now. So the first question is, my title refers to a rent charge, but the property details haven't picked it up. How can I add provisions for charge, please?
So if your register does refer to a rent charge and Property Report hasn't picked it up, that's probably because, so when we recognise risk, the way we do that is we read the back data from the register. Land Registry is really superb because they love things to be in a specific format. They like regularity, and obviously we do too. If it's not been picked up, and that's because somewhere in the back data it hasn't recognised it, it's probably typed in as opposed to recorded in the back data. If you want to send me that register or just pop it in the chat, I'll keep a record of it. Whenever we see those discrepancies, we raise it with the Land Registry and they go and correct the register.
Perfect. Thank you very much. The next question is the Property Report compatible with commercial property, or do you have a separate product for commercial?
So the commercial Property Report has been something that's been discussed a lot. We were considering perhaps doing something that's very transitional into commercial, you know, doing the resi commercial fish and chip shop sort of report. But again, we like to consider Property Report as a sort of matrix. There's lots of overlapping qualities, and with commercial, it is a mammoth amount of things to consider. What we do offer right now is title reports for commercial. For example, you know, you may have multiple titles on a matter. You can insert that into Property Report. We can recognise the sort of restrictions, easements, covenants of those titles, and that does benefit a lot of our commercial clients, but at present we don't have a basic commercial report.
Okay, that's lovely, thank you. We've had a few questions asking how much does it cost, what's the cost of the finished report, so if you wanted to cover that, please.
Yeah, no problem. So the fee to use Property Report is £9.90, and that's inclusive of VAT. We do offer Property Report as an added value feature to clients searching with InfoTrack. So if you have a search pack on a file with InfoTrack, the minimum requirement is a local search, a drainage and water, and an environmental search. The fee to use Property Report will be £0. So you can use Property Report at no cost if you're ordering your search packs with InfoTrack.
Great, thank you. Next question is, if you publish the title report and search report separately, are these considered as two reports, as InfoTrack only provide two reports free of charge?
Yes, so we do provide two reports free of charge, and that is because of the following scenario. Let's say you want to report on your title, you've ordered your searches, but they haven't come back yet. Because they haven't come back yet, there's nothing for Property Report to read and analyze and pre-populate for within the searches section. So you can make your first report for free on your title. Once your searches have come back, you can order a new workspace with your return searches, and we can read, analyze, risk assess, and pre-populate for them.
Fabulous. Next question is, can you edit a published PDF report?
Unless you'd have a special PDF editing tool, you wouldn't be able to. However, you could always just go back into the workspace and edit it as many times as you like. So that hopefully would resolve your issue for any edits that you would need.
Lovely. And does the PDF get compressed? We find when sending bundles of documents, the size of the file is too large to send or for the recipient's email server to accept.
Yeah, we've had this come up a few times for clients who are trying to send off scanned leases. So it's like an image, like large JPEGs of like 20, 50 page lease. And obviously, I think emails go up to like 15 megabytes of information. What we advise is to either send the lease separately or use our sign it feature, which allows for a larger file to be sent through to the client. So hopefully that would resolve your issue. We also have Dropbox as well.
Great, thank you. When you send the report, will it include all attachments and enclosures such as the fixtures and lease and searches, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so your searches on file are automatically uploaded. You can, anything you upload after you've created the order will also be bundled into your PDF unless you remove them before you publish.
Lovely. Is a property report suitable for shared ownership new build?
Yes, absolutely. Not only shared ownership new build, you can create shared ownership new build sublease if you wanted to. We're really, really proud of the sort of flexibility and nicheness on how you can report using the product.
Great. Another person has asked, how accurate is the data extraction and can we rely on it instead of reading the title register? And also, what insurance cover do you provide, if any, if there is a mistake in the property report?
So again, as Minal said, we're here to support you, not replace you. We would always, always, always encourage you to read everything within your report. That's why we provide the source I tool so you can refer. However, our extraction is very accurate because we are pulling it directly from the back data of the register. Again, in the instance where the rent charge wasn't pulled through, that was because of an issue with the back data as opposed to our extraction. And that's where you as lawyers should be empowered by the fact that you're needed and you have the skills to go through the register and recognize risks. And we're, again, here to support you and provide the content that you need.
Fantastic, thank you. Presumably the title report only works for registered properties?
No, so we have an unregistered property report. When you create a workspace, you simply select unregistered. We provide content on things such as lost and stolen title deeds, results on SIM searches, land charges search, you know, the sort of intricacies of sort of the boundary. We explain the sort of class of title procedure, and you know, if it's a lost and stolen title deed, you may get only a possessory title, what that means, insurances, the lender requirements. Really, really proud to say that all of our tenure types, no matter how niche, are really cared for. All their intricacies are cared for, I would say.
Great, thank you. Will it be possible to have the ability as a solicitor or fee earner to add an extra box, as it would be useful in some property reports to say outstanding points or report on a unique feature for that particular property?
Absolutely. So property report, 95 to 97% of property report is editable. Wherever you do uneditable text, that's because it's for comprehension or for a CQS requirement. For example, we don't allow text that explains the difference between a leasehold and a freehold to be removed, and that's because of a CQS requirement. We do have text at the bottom of the report. It's called the summary statement, where you can add any additional features. But again, you can go into any single one of those paragraph components, text boxes, and insert any information throughout the report.
Lovely, thank you. Do searches or documents need to be saved in a particular place in the case management system in order for the information, for the reporting feature to pick up the information?
So the searches will have to be ordered through InfoTrack for us to read them. And again, that's because we'll need that back data. In terms of case management, Tom, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, it would depend on the case management system. Each case management system has a slightly kind of different way of holding the files. Usually it might be a correspondence folder or an agenda folder. If you've ordered your searches via InfoTrack and you are integrated, the searches will drop back into that correspondence or agenda folder. Any other documents that you haven't ordered outside of InfoTrack, perhaps you have received document from the solicitor on the other side. If that's within the same folder or correspondence or agenda, you'll be able to pull in and upload the additional documents from there. And then I know there was another question that popped in there around case management systems as well. The answer to that is yes, we do integrate with the vast majority of case management systems. So I would just advise you to speak to your account manager. All the major CMS providers we do integrate with. I know Minal and Lowri mentioned their integration with Ticket. So do speak to your account manager. The likelihood is that we will integrate with your current case management system.
Great, thanks, Tom. Next question is, do you report on the chancel indemnity within the search report section?
Absolutely. So we have text for chancel indemnity, successor, non-successor, all of that. We're able to pre-populate even the insurance names into the report.
Lovely. Can you confirm the cost of a title report for commercial?
Again, that's something that you would, because it's sort of, so because property report isn't actually a commercial report, however, some commercial clients like to use it for its pre-population. That's something I would advise talking to your account manager about. It probably will depend on the size of the conveyance.
Okay. Why are you unable to report on official local search as opposed to a regulated search?
That's a really great question. Just as I was explaining how land registry is really regular, so the way we read our data is because things are in standard formats. Our regulated local authority search, as well as looking good, it also allows us to read the data within the search because it's in a standard format. As you know, there are hundreds of different local authorities, all with different formats. They even, answer the questions within the land charge search perhaps in different ways. Sometimes it's just a scanned PDF as opposed to just text. So it's very difficult to accurately pull that information through. The drainage and water searches, we actually do read the official ones, and that's because the major water authorities, they do put things in a standard format. They do have variations. Sometimes they'll word questions differently. Is the mains connected or mains connected? Sometimes they'll phrase things differently, and that can affect the results. We always have fail safes within the report, so you'll either have the specific content or all the content, depending on what we read.
I'll just say there as well, it's still very simple to report on your official searches. If you've ordered it on InfoTrack, you'll have it within the workspace on the right-hand side. And although we can't read that PDF, we will give you all of the variables and the content in relation to that local search. So you'd have your official local on the right, and then you would work through the left-hand side, removing anything that isn't relevant and just marrying it up with the actual search result on the right-hand side as well. So we have a number of clients using it for that.
Okay, that's great. Tom, you may be able to answer this question. Do clients like the reports? Do they like to get a bite-sized report? So title searches, mortgages, etc.
So each firm and each user, I suppose, reports in different ways. I would say the majority probably, I don't know, it's probably a 50-50 split from feedback in terms of producing a large report covering multiple sections, but there is also a large proportion that like to report as and when data comes back. So perhaps producing a search report, a title report, and maybe a separate mortgage report, and maybe an all-encompassing title or property report towards the end as well. We've had a lot of feedback from firms using our content library in this reporting solution on how comprehensive and compliant the reports are. And good feedback from their end users and kind of the purchasers actually receiving these reports as well, to say how well they're written and how thorough and detailed they are as well.
Lovely. And just following on from that, and I think this is possibly going to be one of our last questions because I'm conscious that people have got other work that they need to get on with, but from clients' feedback, how much of further inquiries do these reports generate from clients who had the benefit of the reports?
Well, that's a tough question. I've only really had positive feedback from Property Report. Again, just going back to how the content was written, it was really written with the first-time buyer in mind. I think often solicitors can forget that maybe a client won't know what a register is, won't know what an easement is, or the fact that an easement can be referred to so many different things. You know, in legal jargon, we have a glossary at the back. We explain all the terms before we delve into the register, before we delve into the searches. We explain what a long stop date is. We explain what an anticipated completion date is. I mean, think about a purchaser buying, a first-time buyer buying a new build property that's not even been built yet. So they're obviously very anxious. They obviously will need a lot of hand-holding. With a report as comprehensive and explanatory as this, I think it will prevent a lot of calls coming back to you asking for more information.
Fantastic. Okay, the last question then, and it's actually two questions in one. I'm going to wrap them up into two. So one has said, can you confirm if there's a fixed price to order a report? I know we've already covered this, but I think just for clarification, and the last question ties in with this, can you clarify if we do a title report, mortgage report, search report, full report, if we're using the report after we've ordered searches through InfoTrack?
Yes, you 100% can. So if you've ordered your searches, what I would suggest now is reaching out to your account manager. They will be able to provide training, and they'll show you exactly how you can create a workspace and break it down to report incrementally, just as you said there. It's 100% doable, but your account manager will be able to provide training to the department, to the users, to show you exactly how that is possible.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, I would like to say a big thank you to Minal and Lowri for sharing their experience of using Property Report, and to Tom and Liz for their demonstration and insights into Property Report. And I do hope that everybody has found this information and this session useful. If you do have any other questions about anything that you've learned today, or questions in relation to Property Report in general, then please contact us or reach out to your account manager, who will be more than able to assist you. As mentioned already, this session is being recorded, and we will send you a copy so that you can refer back to it. So all that's left to say is to thank you so very much for joining us today, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you very much indeed. Take care and goodbye.